New video shows one of the world's...
Okay, so this is the Chinese airliner that took a fucking insane nosedive. For the record, I have not talked to Murat yet. I really wanted to before covering this story and getting his take on it. But unfortunately, I was not able to. But this is a Boeing, Chinese Boeing airplane that literally just out of nowhere took a fucking nosedive. It's different than the Max, first of all. And it's not about like pilots trying to take control over the landing, automated like landing software, anything like that. This is a 737-800, and it literally just fucking boom, like directly fucking dipped in, which is weird. And I guess like that's not how planes fucking dive, okay?
World's most popular jetliners dropping from the sky. Security images obtained by state-owned television show China...
Yeah, look. Do you see that? I mean, that's crazy, but...
Eastern Airlines flight 5735 plunging straight down into the mountains of southern China. Data from Flight Radar 24 shows minutes after leveling off at a cruising altitude of 29,000 feet, the Boeing 737 began a rapid dive, losing more than 25,000 feet in less than 2 minutes. China state media says all 132 people on board were killed.
This is what they would have heard in the cockpit as they...
Retired airline pilot Mark Weiss teaches in this Boeing 737...
Like, I'm not going to say that it was an intentional dive, right? Or that it was deliberate. All I'm simply stating, and what media will say here, is that planes don't do that. Like, or not that it's planes don't do that. You can't do that. Like, it's not... That has to be intentional. Like, given how flight works, you don't just go from, like, flying like this to, like, all of a sudden taking a fucking nosedive out of nowhere and just directly diving into the ground. Austin. Oh, Austin's here. All right, Austin, get in the Discord right now. Hop in the Discord, motherfucker. This is... Talk to me. Oh, this is it. This is like I think this might be the one time that we have like a professional, an expert offer, expert
court Austin show. The moment I heard you talking about planes, there was, I don't know, I felt it tingling and I joined Hasan.
Someone added you in Discord. Someone definitely told you in Discord, didn't they?
I have my notifications turned off in Discord, but I did get added a couple times. I did, admittedly. And I immediately ran for the computer because I had to make a comment on this situation.
All right, let's hear it. What do you think? What do you think is going on, Austin Show? Mr. Show is joining us, an expert in aviation.
That's right. Look, this is my, when I first saw it, first of all, it's too early to speculate, but we're going to do it anyway. There's no way we will know exactly.
We need to find the black box first, but unfortunately, given the nature of the crash, like a missile strike and the ongoing fires, multiple components off the plane ripping apart, they are having a hard time securing the black box at the moment.
That's right. So my first take is, well, first of all, I want to clear up a very a misconception here, and that is this is not the 737 Max.
Yeah, I already mentioned that. You're too late on that.
Oh, but I'm gonna say it again.
It doesn't even have the same software that was malfunctioning.
No, this is the 737 NG. It's the new generation. What's most disturbing about this crash to me is the 737 NGs have been very, very reliable aircraft, and to this point haven't really. I mean, they've had fatal accidents, but not something I've never seen something like this with the 737-800. From what I looked at, I'm talking about the 737 NG, not the Max. There's a difference, okay? When I looked at from what I understand, the plane went from an altitude of flight level 290 or 291 roughly, and went into a nosedive, and then it recovered very briefly, according to Flight Radar, very briefly, and then nosedived again. my first instinct to me as a chief aviation correspondent is, to me, the failure that would have to occur for that to happen would have to be absolutely catastrophic, for something to happen where the elevator was jammed so aggressively. The elevator is the thing that, or something was jammed so aggressively in which it would cause the plane to dive in at that rate.
Has this been added to Battlefield 2042?
There's nothing on
Because if
these
not, I'm not
planes
playing it
in the
anymore.
737
BTW with the
NG
stream has
per se.
crashed.
The reason why let me take you back to the MAX for a second. For those of you that are talking about the 737 MAX disaster, well, the MAX had this piece of software called MCAS, and MCAS was designed because the weight of the plane was distributed in such a way it made it more vulnerable to a stall. And so MCAS was put in so that if these planes were going to stall, it would push the nose down, but it misfired and unfortunately drove the nose down when the planes weren't in danger of a stall, and that's why you had those disasters. The 737 NG is not equipped with that system. It does not have that system aboard the aircraft. And to my knowledge, there's no system that would be in the aircraft that would force the nose down on its own. There's no preventative system or anything like that, to my knowledge, in the 737 NG. So what my mind goes to is either catastrophic failure of like hydraulics or some sort of like elevator. Like there was a disaster way back when that the elevator or something got lodged. I think it was like on a DC-9 or something, or an MD-80, and it got lodged and drove the plane into the ground. I just don't, it's either that or, dare I say, I don't want to speculate because it's way too early, but I'm going to anyway, or some sort of like the pilot,
like a
made this
deliberate
decision.
attempt
Deliberate.
to.
That was my first
What would
thought.
be what would, so you're saying there are things outside of like intentionally cranking the fucking sticks and just doing a full-blown nosedive. You're saying that there is a likelihood that something else, like it is at least possible.
It's in the realm of possibility that, and again, but there's not in the realm of what's occurred in the past. Like I said, the 737 NG has been a workhorse and been a very reliably safe aircraft. Not the MAX, the NG, and the MAX is, for the record, is very safe now after everything that went through. But the NG has never had any. They've had fatal accidents, but never anything like this. So this would be an unprecedented situation in which I don't know what would have failed, but to go nosedive that quickly,
bro, it literally cut out. It like after. I mean, it looks like a straight nosedive. Any kind of like engine failure wouldn't cause it to do a straight nosedive.
No.
There's way heavier parts of the fucking plane. That's not how it works. You know, like
engine. And first of all, an engine failure. When your engine fails, you don't go into a nosedive. I mean, these planes are essentially big gliders, right? That's what, in fact, they're designed in such a way that even if you do have catastrophic dual engine failure, you should be able to glide to a safe destination.
Yeah. And plenty of planes have done that in the past as well during engine failure. Like, I mean, the Hudson one, right? The Hudson guy.
Yeah, that was a dual engine failure at a very low altitude, caused by bird strike, and that landed safely. The other time, there's been other ones that have landed safely. There was a 747 that like had quadruple engine failure, and they glided safely to their destination. Because if you make the calculation and just using the laws of physics, you can get down safely within a certain amount of within a certain amount of time. Even when you're flying over the North Atlantic, there's always like you're within a certain distance of an airport to safely land usually. But this, to me, like my first instinct when I saw it was like, oh, that has to be deliberate. But then again, you can't rule out all the other stuff, right? Like there could be, it wouldn't have been an engine failure. You wouldn't think it could have been, I guess, but it doesn't cause the nose to dive like that.
Exactly.
The other thing that I was thinking of, like I said, would be like something to do with the rudder or the elevator. And you pull up you know what a rudder and an elevator is?
No.
So the rudders, you know, when you look at the back of a plane, the tail
I know what a
section,
rudder is. I don't know what the elevator is.
the elevator's the other, the flat one. The rudder's the one sitting vertically. The elevator's the one that's sitting horizontally, and that's the one that here. Let me show you. Elevator.
He's got fucking our folks. You heard it here first. Our aviation expert correspondent is bringing in additional details. He's giving us an inside look.
So so if you push the nose down, right? Those elevators are going to be shown in that, you know, they're going to be up, right? They're going to be up if you push the nose down. So there is a potential that something caused that elevator to jam.
So if a plane were to lose full
but see, the
control,
weird
it
part
would
to
not
me that
nosedive like
gives
that.
me some
Either
pause is the
pilot
fact that the
input or an error with
plane,
the control surfaces has no.
according to flight radar, recovered or tried to recover or climb a little bit.
Yeah, in
and
the
then
end.
went into a nosedive again.
Yeah.
But to me,
Hi from Brazil,
that could just insinuate a struggle in the cockpit of some sort. You know, like
That's
maybe,
exactly. That's,
or,
I mean, again, we should not be speculating, but I mean, this is all speculation. This is
all
just
speculation. We don't know. We can't deliberately, we can't say or not. Now, the other thing is, I thought for a second perhaps flightradar.com isn't accurate, because to me, if you're nosediving,
no, there's a video.
Well, no. I know the plane was in a nosedive, but I'm talking about the recovery part.
Oh.
Like, is the video the recovery part? I don't. To me, if you're nosediving at that pitch, if you were to pull back on the stick, the plane's just going to break apart. Like, it probably already was breaking apart as it was diving down. I just feel like it would be almost impossible for it to even recover.
Wouldn't an elevator malfunction, like, why wouldn't the elevator malfunction cause it to stop dead in its tracks and then go directly for a nosedive instead of trying? Like, there's no way it would flip, right?
What do you mean flip? Like the plane
keep continuing with the momentum continuing to like loop.
Oh, that's a good. I mean,
I guess there's not enough. There's not enough space.
No,
like there's not enough altitude for it to loop, right?
No.
That's not like a.
I see what you're saying. Like, you just push the stick forward and then it just like starts to loop a little bit.
No, I'm not saying that. No. I'm saying like.
Well, and that was like a direct nose. It took like 2.5 minutes, right? And the other thing is, like, you would think if you're the captain or you're in this plane and it's some sort of failure, at that moment you would pull the stick, like you would pull the throttle back. I don't know how long it would take to go to the ground from that altitude, but I wonder if the time at which they reached it, it indicates to me maybe perhaps the throttle was forward quite a bit.
Crazy. Yeah, there's a brief moment of recovery towards the end there, and then it continues on the same exact dive pattern.
To me, that my question is like, why is that recovery? That's what gives me pause. Is like, why, if it was like a mission, as if we were like, if we're potentially speculating on, why was there that brief recovery?
Yeah,
and that's what I can't figure out, and that's why we can't say for sure what happened until the investigation concludes. That being said, I don't know. I cannot say, but I will say the 737 NG is a very, very reliable aircraft. It's very reliable.
And by the way, this has not happened in China in many, many years, I think, right? This is like very not a common occurrence in China from what I understand.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's too challenging to tell. And you know, perhaps and also the other disturbing thing is there is no distress call or anything like that made. You know, I mean, they went down so quickly. I mean, there's not much time to make a distress call. So the three, what are the three rules, right? So there's the first one is aviate. What was it? there's three things, right? Aviators in the chat: aviate, communicate, or aviate, navigate, communicate. Isn't that how it goes? You have to the rules when there's something dangerous. It's aviate first, then navigate, and then communicate. So
wait, they're saying this is almost identical to the Alaska Airlines flight 261.
So that's the one I was talking about. The jammed elevator or something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
See, that's a completely different plane.
The probable cause was stated to be a loss of airplane pitch control resulting from the in-flight failure of the horizontal stabilizer trim system, jack screw assemblies, trapezoidal nut threads. The thread failure was caused by excessive wear resulting from Alaska Airlines' insufficient lubrication of the jack screw assembly. For the heroic efforts to save the plane, the pilots were posthumously awarded and commemorated. The accident served as an inspiration for the fictionalized crash landing depicted in the 2012 movie Flight, starring Denzel Washington. I guess there was a brief recovery. The flight crew successfully used the primary trim system to unjam the stuck horizontal stabilizer. Upon being freed, however, it quickly moved to an extreme nose-down position, forcing the aircraft to an almost vertical nosedive. Plane dropped from 31,000 feet to 23 and 24,000 in around 80 seconds. Both pilots struggled together to regain control of the aircraft, and only pulling with 130 to 140 pound on the controls did the flight crew stop the 6,000 feet a minute descent of the aircraft and stabilize it.
But I believe this situation occurred. Didn't the and the other thing is, by the way, the other thing to consider that it could maybe not be deliberate and has to do something with the vertical stabilizer is the fact that, from my understanding, they went nose down pitch at like top of descent, right? So this was right where they descended, like the day previously on that route is when the nosedive occurred. Roughly right around top of descent.
Does it have a similar
10 months.
I mean, it's a different flight, but
it's a different.
Does it have a similar horizontal stabilizer? We don't know.
The horizontal stabilizer is lower. It's in a different position, but I mean, it's the same idea.
I mean, yeah, I'm saying that could it be a similar malfunction?
It's a different plane. It's a different design. They're all similar. It's the same idea, but it's a different. It's not. This is a completely different plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the disturbing thing is that it could be the vertical stabilizer. That's scary. That's really scary because there's a lot of 737s out there that,
Yeah, but that'd be fucking insane that out of nowhere it happens. Like what?
Well, the other thing is like, and the key to that investigation, by the way, chat, the key to that Alaska Airlines investigation is, Alaska Airlines themselves were found to be negligent in the process. It was the Alaska Airlines maintenance that was found to be negligent. It wasn't the manufacturer. In this case, McDonnell Douglas was not found to be negligent in the situation, right? So it had something to do with that particular accident at Alaska Airlines had to do with the Alaska Airlines maintenance, right? Not the manufacturer. So in this particular case, again, we don't know yet if it had to do with the vertical stabilizer. Then the manufacturer, it may not be a Boeing issue. It could be a China Eastern maintenance issue. And there's a million things it could be, right? You can't jump to conclusions, which is why I feel bad for Boeing because, God, you don't know. Like, they may have had nothing to do with this, And then idiots on Twitter, I was mauling on Twitter. Like, I didn't want to respond to anybody. I didn't want to get into a fight on Twitter. But people were fucking comparing this to the Max. It's like it's a completely different aircraft. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one was a software malfunction with pilots trying to regain control, right?
Yeah.
Versus this is entirely different.
Well, we don't know. I mean, we don't know.
We don't know, but the pattern of the flight is different too. Those planes didn't go on a direct nosedive, did they?
Yes, some of them did. Yeah,
they did. I thought.
Well, it was the MCAS. Well, they tried to. They went into a nosedive, and then people tried to recover them.
Oh, I thought it was.
Right?
I thought it wasn't a direct nosedive. In a similar pattern like this. I thought it was different.
Not from cruise. It was like very low altitudes.
Yeah.
That it happened at very low altitudes, which is why.
Yeah, I thought it was because of the like the landing autopilot. No.
Yeah. Well, no. The MCAS system, as I told you, as I understand, the MCAS system was designed because of the weight of the. I think wherever Murat can explain this better, but something to the effect of where the engine sat on the wing made the plane more likely to stall at lower altitudes, and they invented this piece of software called MCAS to sort of counteract that risk. And what MCAS is designed to do when the aircraft is stalling or about to reach a stall, it pushes the nose forward. That particular piece of software malfunctioned in the MAX, which led to the aircraft thinking the plane was in a stall when it really wasn't, and pushing the nose into the ground. So that's what MCAS was. But the NG, the 737 NG, does not have MCAS equipped. It's not equipped with MCAS. It's a previous generation.
Okay.
So, and for the record, the MAX is now safe, and you should feel completely safe flying on them. I'm a little bit paranoid, so I don't go on them, but you should still feel safe.
Damn.
Like, you should still
Bro,
feel
you
safe.
can't be saying that while we're having a conversation about fucking, crashes, and you're like, for the record, for those of you who are wondering, why the fuck does this bimbo know so much about planes? It's because of his fear, and in an effort to combat his fear, because he has to fucking fly to LA all the goddamn time, among other places, so he can get,
and I will say,
get the most mileage out of his credit cards.
I've got thousands of hours in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay,
That's true.
And look, you may think that's not a lot, but hey, have you guys seen the video of me landing a full motion simulator? Okay, I did that with zero experience other than what I learned on Flight Simulator. Okay, all right, I'm serious. Hey, fine. How do you think I know this? Okay, yeah, I can land a full motion simulator. Yeah, I did. I landed one very easily. It was easy. It was fantastic. But that's kind of the extent of what I know and what I speculate. Like I said, if I had to guess, it seems kind of deliberate. Second to that would be something to do with the vertical stabilizer.
Okay, well, we're gonna watch some fake experts at CNN, the Clinton crime news network, give their take on this matter, which probably will be wrong. And not
I'm going to stay muted. I want to see what they
and it won't be correct like your analysis, of course.
I'm gonna stay muted. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
7 simulator. He notes the plane in question was a Boeing 737-800, which lacks the technology behind the crashes of the 737 MAX.
It's probably one of the safest airplanes ever built. This was the model before the MAX, and that did not have the MCAS system in it.
Even though people hear 737.
Apples and oranges. Same airplane, different problem.
What was supposed to be a less than 2-hour flight from Kunming to Guangzhou crashed in heavy forest, making access for rescuers difficult. Witnesses say they saw no smoke coming from the jetliner until it hit the ground. The 737-800 is the second most common airliner in the world. There are more than 4,500 worldwide, including almost 800 in the United States. China Eastern Airlines is now grounding its entire 737-800 fleet.
The early evidence is very ominous. I'm afraid the early evidence on this accident, they say, there's points that you're going to do a hard look at the flight crew.
Well, if the Chinese government is leading this investigation, but experts stress to us that a Boeing 737 should not fall out of the sky quite like this. Southwest Airlines and American Airlines fly hundreds of these airplanes. You've likely flown on one of them already.
Bro, he's blinking so much, it's killing me right now.
What's also interesting here is that this data shows this flight did this steep dive, then climbed back up just below 10,000 feet. Then that dive continued.
He's literally blinking the Morse code that at the top of the hour there's a 60-second ad break. I just realized. And if you no longer, wait, what is he saying? If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. That's crazy. Wow. I can't believe he knew about that. That's wild. Wild to consider. Much to consider.
10/10.
Or you can get gifted a sub if you're lucky. You're lying, actually? No, I'm not. He did.
Continued. Once again, that's something that investigators will no doubt zero in on once they recover the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. Both had not been found yet.
Dangerous.
Is it Austin? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening. Yep.
So, couple things. Immediately, what I saw in the chat, because you know I'm parasocial. I can't avoid chat even when I'm peeing. Is people saying no remains found? That's suspicious. What do you think about that?
No remains found
So far,
why do they find that suspicious?
they're like, "Ooh, what if it was like? What if there was no one? Come on, bro, it's a plane crash. This is the type of shit that this is the type of shit that conspiracy theorists eat off of. You know what I mean?
No, here's the deal. The reason why you may not find any remains is because the plane was going at such a high velocity. Upon impact, I imagine, unfortunately, people essentially disintegrated, or were scattered so far away and in unrecognizable pieces. Unfortunately, I mean
that's one. And then the other question is, why can't they find the black box, or could the black box have been destroyed? The answer is no.
They will find the black box. It usually, from what I understand, it usually does take some time to find the black box. It's not something that, you get to this crash site. The plane was nose down towards the ground, had a horrible impact, and was, spread into a million different pieces. They will find the box. It's just a matter of, time. I mean, these black boxes, usually made of stainless steel or titanium, usually made to withstand high impact velocity of 3,400 Gs. So, it's most likely will survive. I think.
The whole point of the black box is that they have to ensure its survivability. Obviously, you can't predict it for every single thing, but right? That's why I said it's most likely.
Yeah, they will find the black box. It's just a matter of finding it. It's there somewhere. It's just it's the crash site is horrific. They would have found it easier if the plane wouldn't have crashed like it did. But see, I'm not the only one. You heard everything that I said echoed throughout that video. One, hard look at the flight crew. That's code for they maybe think it's deliberate. And then the 737 NG has been a very reliable aircraft, historically very reliable aircraft.
Are you gonna stop flying in 737 NGs now?
Will I stop? No, I think they're very safe. I don't know though. Who knows? What they'll find, right? There's a million different factors. Flying is still the safest mode of. I will be taking an Airbus 320 to Los Angeles this week. But it's just I legitimately will, and I'm not even joking. But I'm not going to stop flying the 737.
Yes, planes are safer than cars.
Yeah,
you are much more likely to die in a fiery car crash on your way to the
airport, or you're more likely to die walking into the airport
than actually on.
I will be more of an anxious flyer now because, of course, this, but yeah,
it is healthy though. You are not the only one. I know a couple other people that have this level of interest in flights specifically to combat their fear of flying.
Yeah, I used to want to be a pilot. That was my reason why I knew a lot about flying, and then I do research certain things.
Hey, the video is over now. But if you enjoyed that, why don't you like, comment, and subscribe? And if you want to see more of that, just go, well, YouTube's got it around here somewhere.